live on Facebook. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining me. We're talking about the top five news stories this today, this week, right now. The top five news stories. I'm bringing you this live from home. This is the forecast, breaking news. We've got some incredible news stories that are happening around the world, and it's important for all of us to stay informed. I am your host, Najeema. Thank you for joining me. I want to encourage you to follow me on Instagram at Najeema.tv and to download the Urban Music Report channel from your Apple TV or Roku device. You can find more content from me on UMR, the Urban Music Report channel. Thanks so much. Download. It is powered by Verizon. You can find it on Apple TV or Roku. Anywhere you download platforms, go there, get the stream, okay? You can watch me live and on demand. All right. We started a part of this conversation talking about what were the top news stories last week, and that included AOC and Yoho. That included AOC and Yoho. That included John Lewis. That also always includes continuous coronavirus cases that are rising um, across the world and so incredibly devastating because our leadership has done nothing of substance to create what is needed to suppress this pandemic. And dare I say, American people, it's a tad bit disappointing because you you haven't done anything, American people. You haven't done anything to say that you're serious about this virus. All right? It's crazy. It's terrible. We need people to stay home. We need people to we need people to stay home. We need people to wear masks. We need people to social distance, avoid unnecessary travel, and we do not need our children in schools. That's simply the case. We do not need our children in schools right now. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Najeema. This is an edition of The Forecast. All right. You can join our group on Facebook. All right. Did you catch the forecast? All right. I'm going to shift here and we're going to go into these stories. All right. An incredible, terrible, destructive incident, negligence in Beirut that left hundreds dead, thousands displaced, and it's quite devastating for the people of Beirut because they've done so much to bring their country back together. Their civil war ended in 1990, and the people there are crying out. It's devastating. The incident, the accident, the negligence that I saw is just extreme negligence. From what I understand, flammable, dangerous materials were left unattended, and unfortunately, people lost their lives due to it. So sad. All right, Facebook. I got a camera here. I got a camera at you, and I got another one right here. Please forgive me. I'm going to try to keep my attention where I can best. All right, so let's move on to the next story without forgetting that the people in Beirut are crying out, and the people in Beirut have the same. I keep using the word devastating. We're all suffering from COVID right now. We're all suffering from COVID-19. And right now, in addition to COVID, they have this tragedy in Beirut that has just disheveled the city. And I pray for their peace. The people that are in the streets protesting, and they're protesting much like the protests have continued here in the United States for weeks now, months now, across the country. People are continuously protesting the racial injustice, police brutality and abuse, and I encourage them to stay in the streets. Thank you so much for your courage, all right, and for your resilience and your stick to itness. That's incredible. Thank you all who lift their voices, raise their fists, and make noise with their feet in the streets. What you do is so incredibly important for all of us. All right, Facebook, I'm going to take a quick break. All right. You can pretend that I'm telling you to download the Urban Music Report. I'm telling you to, sorry, poor connection on my iPhone. I'm telling you to follow me on Instagram. All right, I'm at Najeema.tv. Thank you so much. Okay. And I am asking you to join the group. Did you catch the forecast? All right. That's where I give content more regularly about top stories and what's going on in the world. Thanks for joining me. All right. After that commercial break, we're back. Again, I want to shift my camera here. So, we've talked about Beirut. We've talked about continued protests across the United States. We've talked about COVID because that continues to be a story and will for always be a story that the people of the United States, at least for now, are so desperately trying to heal themselves from. Okay? All right. I would be remiss if we did not talk about the Russia vaccine. Big news. This is like the space race. All right? Same thing. US and Russia, all major countries, all industrialized nations are trying to find and come to the top of this race of who's going to find a vaccine for our dilemma, for our pandemic. And Russia is pulling ahead in the lead in their efforts. You may remember just a few weeks ago, they were accused of attempting to hack government and medical facilities for research around the pandemic because they want to be ahead of this race. For some reason, Vladimir Putin, whose operatives, I will say, are doing their best to undermine our political elections in the United States, they literally are doing everything that they can to spread misinformation in our campaigns, in our American election. All right? We cannot let Vladimir Putin destroy what is left of our democracy. All right? I brought it up because his operatives are always trying to get into all of my social media accounts, and I am not lying. I joke about it, but the Russians are trying to hack me. Don't worry. I got really good two-factor authentication. As if. Yes, Russia is rushing to the top, trying to come up ahead of the race to produce a vaccine. Now, in the U.S., there was recently some activity around the production of that vaccine. You'll recognize recently that Kodak stock went through the roof when President Trump actually went on television and announced, the contract that Kodak was receiving for, vaccine production. We also have Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson. A lot of these companies are in the race to create a vaccine. And did Russia hack? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. Let's shift to another international story. We'll shift to what's going on in Hong Kong. Now, admittedly, I am not up on all international news, but I do understand that Hong Kong sat as one of the last bastions of democracy, the seat of democracy in China, and with the leader of, I guess it's Apple HK or Apple's, their local news media. His name is Jimmy Lay, I believe. He was arrested today, and it was filmed, and it was available for all of China, all of Hong Kong to see. All right, so we've got to be incredibly careful as we observe these things going on across the world. Democracy being eroded, the dangers of just the clandestine nature of Chinese government. I'm sorry, I've been to China. Luckily, I did not encounter anything that was untoward, but nevertheless, Hong Kong continues to protest, as they should. Hong Kong shows us how to protest. All right? Kudos to Hong Kong. I think we've run through pretty much all of the stories. Lastly, I want to talk about Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris for his running mate. I want to say support black women, first and foremost. Support black women. I want to say that. I also want to say that this was a very, very qualified field of candidates, black and white. If your name is elevated to the top of a presidential list, then you obviously have something to add to this conversation. All right? Is Kamala without problem? No. That's just the long and the short of it. Kamala is not without her own brand of issues. I've heard questions about her blackness. Come on, people. Let's not do that. Let's not talk. Let's just not focus on that. Yes, all skin folk ain't our kinfolk. We know that and we understand that. But what we do know is that the more dangerous thing is Donald Trump 4 more years of this foolishness and ineptitude. What we have is a global pandemic. Dare I say domestic terrorism? Do you disagree? Do you not feel threatened right now? Do you not feel safe? Drop some comments, people. I want to hear from you. You're here. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you're following me, Najeema TV, Najeema.tv, on Instagram here and on Facebook, and the group Did You Catch the Forecast? All right? Kamala, not without her problems. No more Trump. Dump Trump. How do we still have this man as president? All the things that I've seen him do have just been so illegal. They're talking about the man like he's a mob boss. Come on. All right. So I like to I like to introduce this campaign that I'm promoting. All right. It's a campaign about voter engagement. All right. We want dump Trump. We want to dump Trump. We want people to vote Pi 2020. I want you to vote prepared, informed, and engaged. Going forward, we need to be prepared, informed, and engaged. And that's more than waiting till November. We're talking about our census, people. Have you filled out your census? If you say, hey, look, I lost it. Okay, you lost it. We'll find it. Better yet, go online. All right? Go online to fill out your census. Your census is critical to providing goods and services to your community. Critical. If you haven't filled out your census, you can go to census.gov. The information is protected. And I know that sounds crazy, but coming from me, coming from someone who worked at the Government Accountability Office, I can say that there are some things that this government does take very seriously. And the protection and your privacy of your information, they do take seriously. I've had the pleasure of seeing it firsthand. Okay? Please fill out your census. Encourage your neighbors, encourage your family to fill out your census. It's critical. All right? It's critical to creating opportunities, more opportunities in our is it raining? Creating opportunities in our communities. All right? So, voting Pi also means that you know which identification is necessary for you to have. It is August. In October, you will be required to have different identification, right? Different identification to travel. And you should know what identification you need to vote. The last thing you want to do is get to that voting booth and figure out that you can't cast your ballot. But you're voting by mail anyway, aren't you, smart people? I know you are. It is raining. It is raining. It is raining here in Charleston. And I thank you so much for joining me, everyone. It's 10:45. My clock says I've been on about 20 minutes now. And with the rain started, that means Granny said get off. Turn off all the electronics. And I got every light on in here so y'all can have some good light with me. Prepared, informed, and engaged. Fill out your census. Know what identification is necessary for you to travel and vote. Those changes are being made now. New identification will be necessary for you in October. Check with your state. And in November, make sure that you know where to cast your ballot if you decide to vote in person, and know what identification you will need. You also have the option to mail in your vote. And I trust that the American people and the Democrats will get this right. We're going to get this right, people. We're going to get it right. We're going to get mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, mail-in done. The United States Postal Service, I have faith in you. Go buy stamps, people, and write letters to the ones you love. All right. It's a little after 10:56. I'm going to wrap up. We've talked about the top 5 news stories today, whether that be Hong Kong and erosions to democracy there by the arrest of the media giant Jimmy Lai from the main Democratic voice in Hong Kong. All right. We talked about Beirut and the devastation that the people in Beirut are experiencing follow lapses in their government's ability to adequately protect them. All right. The people have no faith in their government in Beirut, much like here. Members of the the cabinet, and believe the prime minister, if that is their system, have stepped down. Yet the military is still in the streets policing the people. Russia vaccine, just like the race for the space race, the race to the moon, all of that. Yes, all right, yes, you got it. Pie. Continued protest in the United States. Continued violence in the United States. Shootings of young people in Chicago, in Summerville, South Carolina, in a lot of places all around the country. Young people are dying at the hands of bullets, which is so unnecessary and so disheartening right now. Let's just hug and love on one another right now, people. Okay? Last but not least, Joe Biden makes the decision to select a once formidable candidate or formidable constituent, formidable, what's what I'm looking for? Rival. Kamala Harris was not Joe Biden's favorite person, although he says he doesn't hold grudges. Hey, look, I've met the man. Nice man. But back in February, I said I did not really have a lot of faith in a Joe Biden presidency. I don't have faith in hiring someone to run the country who has a record like his and has been a part of the establishment so long. I'm sorry. But I support Joe Biden because the alternative is unthinkable for another 4 years. Opponent. Oh, thank you. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Doubt that I'm going to edit this very much, but I am going to get this replay back up for you on a bunch of other platforms. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you have the chance, I want you to download the Urban Music Report channel from your Apple TV or Roku device. There you can see me live and on demand, streaming on UMR. All right? I'm Najeema. This has been Najeema TV's Did You Catch the Forecast? Top 5 news stories of the day. Such a busy news day, and it's only going to continue. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Take care. Good night.